can you all see my screen? I saw the question late. It was when I have left the meeting that I saw the question. Can you see my screen? Please put it on the chat box if you can see my screen. Hello, please put it on the chat box. Okay, yeah, thank you so much. So, so somebody asked a question last week, and the person was saying that how can we save? That is, if I want to save this image, how can we save it? So I saw the question late, and that was why it was not answered. So let's quickly rerun this. This was what we did last week. So let's quickly rerun it. Yeah. So then now, if I want to save, so there's something, the PLT also have a function that can save. So I can just say PLT save fig. So that save fig is a function in PLT, which is matplot. So then I can call it salary. Now, note what I'm putting here, salary distribution by departments. Now, you will notice that I did not allow there to be space. I didn't allow there to be space in any of what I typed. And the reason is because, so dots, so I can make use of PNG and I can make use of JPEG, which is JPG. So let me make use of PNG. So PNG. Now, I could add other features to it, but let's first of all run this. So now it has saved the our image. So our image is going to be saved in the home data here, and we can check it out. So we can check out the image here. So you can see it here now. So you see that it's saved as PNG. I can open it with an image instead of it opening in a browser. So you can see that I open it like that. So that is how to save image. Now, there are different properties that I could also add to it. So I could add some DPI. So let's say I had DPI, and DPI is just for resolution. I say DPI equals to 300. So what it just does to it is just for resolution. That's what it does to it. So this saves my image. But now, you will see that I did not put space. Let me add a space now. So if we come back here and refresh, you see that they are different. The one that has space is different from the one that has an underscore. So take note of that very well. Now, if let's assume that we want to save all of our images. Now it's good because I think the question that person was asking is, so how do we now present it? So instead of you using how to crop and now be cropping the image, you can just save the image. The image is now going to be saved in your local disk. I mean, in your local disk where you have loaded your file. That's where the image is going to be saved. So here we can also save this. So let's call this number of employees per state. The number of employees per state. And when you come and look at here as well, let me refresh this. So you can see that it has saved as an image. So all you just need to do is, if you are putting it in PowerPoint, most of the time when I'm presenting a data that is in Python, most of the time when I'm presenting such a data, I usually present the data in PowerPoint, and it's easy for me to make it PowerPoint, especially if the users are non-technical stakeholders. So, but charts, there's nobody that will not understand charts. So that's one of the essence of charts. So then again, I can do the same thing here. Average salary distribution by department. So let me run this again. Then the last one, that is years experience against salary by gender. Okay, there's still one other one. I thought that was the last one. Then this one is distribution of the years of experience. So let me make this JPEG. So the other ones are PNG. You can see that I changed this one to JPEG. Now, if I should refresh it here, everything you can see, this one is in JPEG. The rest are in PNG because I put it as PNG. So you can see it here. And you can just right click and copy any image. Then you paste it to the PowerPoint that you want to present. So how can we share to the stakeholders after saving? Now, except you want to share the charts alone. So you can send it by email. It depends on how you communicate with them. It depends on how you communicate it with them. For example, in my former place of work, when I've run a code and they are in mostly tables and charts, If they are in chat, most of the time I communicate it through PowerPoint. So I have everything slated in PowerPoint and just like a brief explanation of what it does. So if I'm putting all of these in PowerPoint now, it already has title. And so that's why you need to ensure that all your images has a title. It's very important. You need to ensure that all your images has a title, because with that way you'll be able to explain it. But with if your image does not have a title, you are going to have issues. So there are different ways. There are different ways in which you can share it. But I just gave you the way I share my own images to my stakeholders. Do you have any other question? Any other question generally, maybe on the use of Matplots, Seaborn, and the likes? Okay. In the absence of no question, let me do like a quick recap of what we actually learned in this class. So I think 2 weeks ago was when we did on how to clean data, and we look at this messy data. We look at how to drop duplicates. So this was the data. And we look at how to drop duplicates. And I said that, of course, when there are duplicates data, you drop them because it's going to make your data to be messy. Then here, I said that you can use it to check how many nulls you have in each of the columns. And here you can drop the null values. But I told you specifically that in a real sense of it, we don't usually drop null values. And I said that when you have null values, there are several ways in which you do it. So for example, if it is like a machine learning data, maybe you are developing a model or something like that. So you can fill it with the mean or the median. You can fill the missing if it's a continuous variable. For example, now, if I have age that is missing, I can fill it with the mean, and that's why we have the mean here. And that's what we did here. We fill it with the mean. You can fill it with the median. So this is especially done when you want to make use of it as a model, or you are developing a model. That's how we usually make use of a mean or a median. That's how we usually fill it in with it. But if it is a data where you want to extract, maybe you want to give it as a table, sometimes you need to inform your stakeholders about it. That how should you deal with a missing variable? It's very important. Sometimes you need to inform your stakeholder about it. How should you deal with this missing variable? So if it is like that, I showed you a different way in which you can fill. So okay, this one is still filling with median. This one is filling with median. I showed you that you can fill in with unknown. You can that is if it is a categorical data that does not have a mean or median, then you can fill it with unknown. And it actually appears here. in which all the names were filled with unknown. And we can still check the rests that are here. And I also said that I also taught you how to rename columns. So you can rename columns to whatever you want. All this is still on data cleaning and data manipulation. And another thing I remember we did that day was grouping of the ages. So we had beans and label. So we are able to group them. Now, this usually happens when you are dealing with statistics. So where the stakeholders want to know the age groups. And that's how it usually happens. So here we ran it and it was, we added the column here. And as you can see, we can see all the age groups. We can see it there. And here we can know the age group size and also the age group counts as well. And it looks like is the 51 to 60. It looks like most of the employees, or is it a customer data? Yeah, it's a customer data. It looks like most of the customers of this organization, of course, it's a fake data, falls between 51 to 60. And I remember that I taught you how to fill in just a column. I mean, just a row rather. So this is a row. I want to fill in the customer number there. So this is row 1. I want to fill in the customer number there. And we were able to fill it in directly. We were able to fill that in directly. And here, we are also able to fill in 2 numbers. So open the group so we can connect with learners beyond training on platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter. Okay, no, there's no problem. I will open the group, but I'm just being careful of how do I put it? Yeah, but if I see that, I'm just being careful of people that scam each other. I'm just being careful of that. So I will open it, but if you post anything, I will open the group since we are finishing the class now. But if you post anything that is not part of Python, I will remove you immediately. So if it is for connection, then there's no problem. I will open the group just for the connection aspect. There's no problem. So how do we know when to use Python, Excel to analyze data? Okay, now, it comes with experience actually, but majorly it also depends on what your organization wants. Now, but for example, if it's machine learning, of course, that's not part of what I taught you. If you are doing machine learning, you have to use either Python or R programming language. So those ones you cannot even consider Power BI or Excel at all. However, if I'm doing statistics, and I want to maybe draw out some tables, a lot different charts, if I want to automate the process, I would prefer to use Python. Maybe in my place of work, they usually produce a statistics every month. So maybe they make use of Excel. I can write a Python code for it that produces it simpler. And within 30 minutes, report is produced. And whereas for Excel, you can spend a whole week producing it in Excel. So you need to know the advantages and the disadvantages of both. So it comes by experience naturally, and also what the company uses, because when you are making use of when you are in a company, most of the time they don't make use of free products. So it's always a licensed product because the company have the power to pay it. So can we use Python interchangeably with SQL? No, SQL is quite different from Python, because SQL, what SQL just does is just for extraction. It's just to extract data. So maybe you extract data from different database. Yeah, there is another library called Skitlan. Yes, I mentioned machine learning. That's not part of basics in Python. I mentioned machine learning when I started. It's not part of data analysis. It's machine learning. I use that in my, because I'm a senior data scientist in my current place of work. So I use Skitlan a lot. But you don't want, if I can't be giving you insight on it now, because majorly I can't explain what machine learning is. What machine learning, let me just give a brief overview of machine learning. And what Skitlan just does is you can import different machine learning algorithms from Skitlan. So let me just give you a brief overview of machine learning as a bonus. Although because machine learning is another class on its own. It's not even part of advanced Python. It's another class on its own. But because that's where I work, I have the experience. So let me just give you a brief overview of machine learning. So for example, if if you want to design a model that wants to predict how often you go to church. Let me use that example. You want to design a model that will predict your movements every Sunday. Are you getting what I'm saying? You can have that, a model that will predict every uh I'm using a very simple English, a model that will predict your movement on Sunday. The first thing I would need from you is your last your last 3 years. How do you go about on Sunday? So if I check your data, I see that okay, it goes to Sunday 10 a.m. every Sunday, and it comes back home 2 p.m. And after 2 p.m., he goes to visit his friend or stays at home. So now what machine learning does is I'm going to use the data you gave to me, that's 3 years data of how you have been moving. I am now going to use it to train my model. So what will be in that model, I can split it 70% of the data. So if I have for the 3 years, I will split it into two, 70% to train my model. Then I will use 30% to test. Of course, I can divide. Some people use 80 and 20. I know some of you are advanced in this class. So let me explain it. But I'm just trying to explain it in English term. So if I have now used my model to train 70% that this guy goes to church 10 a.m. I will now use, for those 3 years, there could be a day that maybe you are sick and you cannot go. I will now use the 30% that was not trained to test it and see how the model performs. So we now have different kind of machine learning models. So there are explanatory models and there are black box model. But let me tell you, you see all those black box model, we don't use it in organizations, because a stakeholder will want to tell you that we want to know the reason behind a stakeholder will want to know the reason behind why you design the model, and it must be explanatory. So you have to use an explanatory model like logistic regression, decision trees, and the likes. But you see, all those black box model like random forests, all those black box model that cannot be explained, Okay, let me give you like ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a black box model because you don't know how it operates. All those AI stuff, they are black box model. You don't know how they operate because there is no explanation for it. However, in a company, and that's why some companies don't make use of ChatGPT and the likes because they cannot explain it. But however, in a company, they want a model that you can explain why it's happening, what contributes to the prediction. So now, if I make use of a model, that model will tell me what contributes to the prediction that John goes to church every Sunday. So now I will now use that 30% of my test data to test it, whether how the model was able to understand how John goes to church every Sunday. So there are now what we call a classification report, which is accuracy, F1 score, and the likes. So I can use it to determine the accuracy. So maybe it is 80%. That means what 80% means is that 80% of the time, like if I have 10 prediction, eight out of it is going to predict correctly. And the truth about machine learning model is when you are having 100%, that means that the model is biased, but that's another level. But I just use it to explain what skitlan does. So it's a library that is attached to machine learning, and that's just the simple English definition for machine learning. So it's just a model that predicts. And that's why a lot of companies is making use of machine learning nowadays, using it for prediction. My company is using it. My former place of work is using it. They use it to predict a lot of things a lot. So skitlan is just a library used in machine learning to call out different machine learning algorithms, pre-processing. You can call out different things. That's what skitlan does. But like I said, it's not, you don't really use it in core data analysis in Python. When are we going to use close brackets? When are we to use close brackets and square brackets? Now, I have explained this in my previous, class, that when you are dealing with when you are dealing with columns, when you want to call out columns, you make use, when you are dealing with functions. Now you can see that this is a function. When you are dealing with function, you make use of a square brackets. But when you are dealing with a column, you make use of, when you are dealing with function, you make use of a normal bracket. When you are dealing with columns, you make use of a square brackets. So, but it comes by experience. When you look at, this is a function now, this is a function, rename. So anytime you have a function, anytime you call out a function, know that it is a normal bracket that is going to follow. So it's only when I want to make use of a dictionary, that is when I make use of a curly brackets. Maybe, okay, I think I promised that I was going to send you something on Python on understanding brackets. Somebody should remind me on Telegram tomorrow morning if I don't send it. I think that material is going to help. We will have moderators to filter messages. Okay, yeah, no problem. No problem. Yeah, there may be risk of virus coming or unsolicited requests. Yes, I understand, but there are also what's it called? Um, People should drop their email so that the truth is that um some people genuinely want to drop ideas and stuff like that so that they can connect. But it's so easy. I will just inform my moderators that I have moderators on the group already, that they should delete and remove anybody and they should be on alert. So as soon as obviously no new person can be added. So as soon as you open the group, as soon as I open the group and you send something that is not right, you will be removed from the group. Okay, I hope AI won't replace data analysis one day. The truth of the matter is that, for example, even though people can put on Copilot, ChatGPT, that can you do this analysis for me? Can you do this? Can you do that? There is still needs an human in the loop. You still need an human in the loop. So AI cannot replace data analysis completely. No. AI won't replace data analysis completely. It's not possible. However, AI can help in doing some things easier for data analysis, but it won't replace it completely because you still need an human in the loop. And some of the models that I'm talking about, that is the machine learning models that we develop, even in my previous company and current company, sometimes we still need an human in the loop. So models does not even replace human completely. So that's why we need a model when we are designing a machine learning model, a model that is explainable, to stakeholders. So when that model makes a prediction and it looks odd, of course, the human knows, we've already informed the human that the accuracy is 80%. So he knows that when things are wrong, so it's just to make things easy for him. So he knows that if he's predicting wrongly, that's why there will always be an human in the loop. And that's also still with data analysis as well. There will always be an human in the loop. You cannot downgrade the work of an human. You can't downgrade it. Any other question? So AI will aid data analysis and not replace data analysis. That's just the simple truth. Because even all these Copilot, ChatGPT, they also have data protection stuff. So when you upload a data, or Brook said, when you upload the data, it will tell you that I cannot break it, that it has to do with sensitive data, it has to do with this, it has to do with that. So how will AI now replace, and you are the data analysis, you are analyzing sensitive data, but you can analyze it without the use of an AI. So AI still looks for some, AI cannot do some things, especially for some data protection stuffs. Some data that have been protected, I tell you that no, I can't do this because it's a sensitive data or it's a protected data. So that's still the limitation of AI. So, but AI can help, like I said, it can help you to do data analysis. Any other question? So, like I said, somebody should remind me tomorrow. I will drop a material that will help on how to identify scale brackets and the likes. So, your project is ready. I will send it this week, and you have a month. You send it to my email, and when you are done, you can chat me on Telegram that yes, I'm done. But make sure that you attend 80% of the class, that is 4/5, because I'm going to check the attendance. That's why you will receive the link in your email. So irrespective, if there are no other questions, thank you so much for joining, and I'm going to see you when we see. So for the advanced class, it starts in 2 weeks' time. So if you are interested, send me a DM so that you can be in the class. So thank you so much for joining. A lot of my previous cohorts, most of them are now working as a freelancer, because it's not only for training. I will also help you till you get a data analyst job as well. Some of them are working in Australia. One still called me 2 months ago, working as a data analyst in one company in Australia. Some of them are working in the UK. Some of them are working in Nigeria, Canada, and the likes. So it's a global thing. I'm not dealing with only just a particular set of people. So thank you so much. And I will send the assignment this week to us.